All right, ladies, thank you so much. And this is a conversation I'm sure all of us were waiting to have. OTT is clearly the thing that we are all hooked to. And my guests here need no introduction because we've watched their shows, we've been hooked to their shows, and we want to know more about the upcoming shows. So, Shefali, I want to start with you. Darlings, Delhi Crime, Three of Us, Jalsa, Human, some of your finest work that we've been watching
Thank you.
on OTT. Now, in all your career as an actor of doing films and television, would you say that the kind of characters you're playing on OTT have had a stronger impact, and how you like playing them?
First and foremost, good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful being here, and all of you all are looking gorgeous. Are you all having tea, coffee, or wine? That's a very important question to answer. Besides that, how has it affected, I think, because the reach of OTT, we had television, which reached people far more than obviously films could, because it was in everyone's bedroom. The same thing happened with OTT. The difference being that suddenly we have a library of content which comes from across the globe, and it's amazing. Not just as of course as an actor, because all the varied characters that I have had the opportunity of playing, I cannot deny the fact that that opportunity even began because of something I did on OTT. If Delhi Crime was, let's say, a film, it would probably have been considered as, let's get A-lister star to play it. And it would have been completely my loss. But because it was OTT and because it's more story-oriented, character-oriented, that's where it comes into the play, where you're okay about somebody who may not be a A-lister or the top on a Bollywood chart, but as a character, this person fits it to the T, and what this actor can bring to the table. So I think that is wonderful as an actor. And of course, as a student of cinema, I can watch anything and everything from across the globe. I mean, today we can watch Iranian cinema, or we can watch American shows, or we can watch something in Spanish. Years ago, we couldn't even watch the content that our own country was creating. If we were lucky, we got some film from the South, became a huge hit, and they said, okay, we'll make a Hindi version of it. And that's how we could watch it. But we lost out on so much good, wonderful material, which I think all of it, has come into our laps, actually, via OTT. I love it. I mean, it's my favorite place to be.
All of us do. So Tanya, I'm sure a lot of us really want to understand what goes on behind the scenes, and how do you really gauge the success of a show? So is it when the number of subscribers go up? Is it what the trends reflect? Because insiders also tell me that Netflix gets very accurate numbers to exactly when an audience has dropped, at what point, at which character, what the storyline was. So how does it work?
Hi everyone, good afternoon. And Shefali, it's our gain entirely. You are definitely our A-lister on Netflix. And I'm so glad Delhi Crime found you. Yes, how do we gauge the success of a show? Does everybody know what Shefali's character is called in Delhi Crime? Madam, sir? Yeah. I think you feel it. Firstly, you feel it, you know it in your bones, you hear it, and the audience is very, very kind. They talk about it freely. I mean, when Royals launched, it took over the internet across the world. When Delhi Crime comes, and every time we launch a trailer, they always say, "Par agla season kahan hai?" And I know I may have walked into a trap here, but coming soon. But I think besides that, yes, we do actually, probably we're the only service that actually puts out our numbers. We have an engagement report that comes out twice a year. So the accuracy of the numbers is for the world to see. It isn't speculative, but I think success is measured, one, in just the love of the fans. I think very accurately, a season renewal. And more importantly, I think from a business metric, it is definitely the way we're growing. And I think we've been blessed, and all of you as audience have been very, very kind in the love that you've shown for our shows, for our characters, and really like coming back and watching, newer ones. Like right now, Mandala Murders, which launched last week, has really got everyone, solving the mystery and becoming quite the rage. So like the Mandalas got to them. So I think the love is palpable.
Oh yes, indeed it is. Bhumi, I mean, I have to start with this. The Royals has been one of the most watched series, not just in India, but it has appeared in the top 10 in other countries too. Did you anticipate this kind of love and the sort of reception you've received?
Good afternoon, everyone. I did, and that's why I wanted to do the show. 100%. I have had a beautiful journey with Netflix. And most of my pieces of content that came on the service have given me a lot of love. And we were trying to do something together for a longer format, but then comes Royals, and I was in the hospital. I had dengue. I was completely out, and I was just on my way to recovery, and I read the first episode, and suddenly I felt like I'm feeling better. Because, as actors, you're constantly looking for pieces that can challenge you, that are away from you, out of your comfort zone. And trust me, that was really something that I had not done. People never expected me to do something like a Royals. And that's what excited me. And when I read the material, I was like, okay, here is a show that is going to be watched by everyone. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm really, really, really glad that it worked out for all of us, and it worked out this way.
Shefali, coming to Vartika Chaturvedi, I mean, you've turned her into an iconic character. She's my personal favorite, and I get hooked to every emotion that Vartika emotes. We are at a women's summit, and that is why I say to play a woman cop, and she's a woman who's fierce, powerful, she's a fighter, but the vulnerability, the sensitivity with which she deals with a case, I think that is something that most gets to you. Year on year, you've been playing her. Has a little bit of her seeped into you? Do you really love her?
I think I'm obsessed with her. You do a project and you move on. I mean, you look back fondly at characters you've played, but Vartika is someone I'm very possessive about. And it might sound psychotic, but I know, I love her. I think, honestly, every character that I play takes a lot out of me and gives back a lot to me. It's very difficult to quantify exactly what it is. But, I mean, I think there are quite a lot of similarities between the both of us. The only difference being that she probably has the power of a gun, and I probably have the power of a mic. That's the difference between the two women. She is extremely vulnerable, and which is what I keep feeling. I know strength is celebrated all around, and it's so talked about, but I just genuinely feel our strength is our vulnerability. Because if we didn't feel vulnerable enough, we would not have the fire and the fight to become stronger enough. So I genuinely feel that it's a big part of any woman. And she's given me a lot, and I have tried to give her as much as I could. She's consumed me completely. And I think she's a lot like a lot of us, but she has a position of power where she can actually do something and make a difference.
Oh yes, absolutely. Tanya, in the way we are portraying women on OTT and the sort of progressive subjects that the platform showcases, again, I want to understand from you when you particularly go after a woman-led subject where a woman puts out a strong narrative. How does it perform when, that's the kind of show you're putting out, you're working with women creators? What does it bring to the table?
At a personal level, I feel like I find the word inclusion, when used around another gender, a little offensive. I feel like we have to, as producers, studios, creators, writers, actually look at it as representing the world that is around us, right? The world is not a world of one gender with another one just being included because, you know, we have to. It is actually just the most authentic way to represent the world. And as a global platform, I feel it's our responsibility to represent the world for what it is. And, you know, to what you just said, actually, I feel like we are not writing narratives with women. I feel women are writing narratives in the world that are hard to ignore, that, you know, that creators really find exciting. It sparks up the minds of writers. And those are subjects that you have to pick up and you have to, you know, sort of memorialize in art in that sense, in long form or in films forever. So, you know, the legacy of Chaya Sharma, the top cop of Delhi, on who Vartika Chaturvedi's character is based, she has a legacy. But through Vartika Chaturvedi, I think Shefali and us, we've tried to sort of really land that as a legacy across the world. You know, female entrepreneurs are taking over, you know, business quite like their male counterparts. And so when Sophia comes into Royals and really talks about dreams and ambitions, it is an articulation that is needed. And I don't think that we look at it as an exclusive presentation. I feel like it is the way the world has to be. But yes, I think streaming does allow narratives that probably wouldn't have sort of hit the screens or television in the manner that they do, because I feel like we have the luxury to actually balance strength and vulnerability, you know, flaws and power, all of it at the same time, and really depict stories, subjects, characters in a very lovely, complex way. And I think that's what women are. They are layered, they're complex, they're beautiful.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And how does it change for a female actor? Because, you know, this is a long format that allows the graph of the story to flow in a certain way, and similarly for the character to build in a certain way. And you as an actor have the scope to be able to build it like that. Is it truly satisfying as an actor?
It's so satisfying. It is so satisfying. My first experience, my first outing with the longer format, I realized that I want to keep doing this again and again. You know, especially when you are kind of in that race where you're doing films that come on screen, in theaters as well, and you're doing like beautiful content digitally as well. You're constantly told that no, you know, come karo. But I actually want to tell anybody who's an actor first, like I'm an actor first, a good story is a good story. And for me, there was nothing more satisfying than being able to film 8 hours of a character that I love so, so deeply. You know, the beauty of the OTT world is that it's so democratized that there is no female-led subject, it's a subject.
Yeah.
And then there are narratives, and all of us become a part of it. If you're an actor that fits that narrative, you'll be given that opportunity. So for me, is it something that I would want to do again? I would want to keep doing it repeatedly, because it just gives me an opportunity to play around with nuance. If there is a season 2, it gives you an opportunity to better yourself. When do you get that? That never happens. You know, I have an entire, I can go study my work. I can go improve on it. So for anybody who loves performing, this is your playground.
You know, you in fact touched upon it, and if you could talk about it in greater detail. Again, to be a quintessential heroine, and Bollywood has set those standards, you know, the heroine should look like this, she should behave like this, you know, even the characters were very stereotyped in that sense. On OTT, it is all about the character, exactly what you mentioned about Vartika Chaturvedi. Do you like the fact of, you know, a career ranging for so many years, of seeing platforms changing, films, TV, and now OTT? How good do you feel about it?
I feel lucky because I was at that point of time where technically in cinema there is no place for women. I mean, after 25, 28, you're pretty inconsequential in cinema. And I'm talking about cinema that got made around the 80s, and I might sound terribly rude, but it's a fact. You know, if you look back, in the 60s, 70s, there was cinema that celebrated women of any age. You talked about a ghar, you talked about Abhiman, you talked about Chandni, Chalbaz. All these women were celebrated for who they were, not just, you know, like ghar or let's say Abhiman or Chupke Chupke or Parinita. What these weren't particularly pertaining to the quintessential heroines as such, but they were celebrated. Then there came a patch where the only duty, not even responsibility, the only duty of a heroine was to look, she was there to beautify the screen. And sadly, I think producers or directors didn't understand that, you know, there can be beauty with metal. Yeah. And then, of course, after a certain age, after you're married, after you have kids, you don't have any place in cinema. You can go home. And I dug my grave a little far too earlier because I decided to play mother at a very, very young age to somebody who was older than me. But because of OTT, I was 40, 42 when DC happened. And it gave me a completely new lease of life. Forget anybody else. If somebody had told me some years ago that, you know what, you're going to be playing the lead when you're going to hit 40s, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Of course. But it actually happened. So what I lost out probably earlier, I kind of gained when OTT happened. And I'm being very honest about it. I just wish it had happened earlier because I lost so much time. But, well, I'm so glad, I'm lucky that it happened.
We are lucky because we get to watch you in all these wonderful roles. Absolutely.
And she's making up for it with every role. She's amply making up for it.
Oh, yes.
Memorable.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It stays with us. So again, Tanya, you know, talking about Netflix, it started as a form of experimentation, moving on to focusing on consolidation, now in a phase of growth. In terms of strategy, how is it changing when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to storytelling? Netflix India completes 10 years next year. And, you know, even when it comes to, say, acquiring shows like Kapil Sharma, CID, Crime Patrol, what's the idea behind such a strategy?
Like I said, you know, we came into India and, you know, we're counting down to 10 years next year, and it's been an amazing journey. I think it's been, you know, sort of highlighted by such amazing talent, such amazing collaborators, such amazing titles, Sacred Games, Delhi Crime, Hira Mandi, Kapil Sharma, Mamla Legal Hai, you know, Darlings, Aap Jaisa Koi, I can go on. So I think the one consistent sort of approach has been to keep our eye on the one thing which is the soul of our business, which is our audience. You know, how do we constantly stay relevant to our audience, have audiences love what we do, find their most loved subjects, their most loved creators, their most loved actors on Netflix. You know, I say very often that I think if everybody chose to make every night a Netflix night, we'd be delighted. And I think that's yielded well, I'm happy to report. I think what's also happened is that that's led to consistent growth, touch wood, and thank you to the audience. As you evolve, I think, and as you go deeper and deeper, there's no one India that we cater to. You know, we all know that India changes with every state and many times even within that. And with every change comes a different taste. With every change comes a different language. With every change comes a different expectation. So we're never really catering to a type of an audience. We're catering to, you know, multitudes of taste, choices, moods. Tonight is comedy, tomorrow can be drama, day after can be thriller. So there is that much for us to do. So why bucket ourselves? Like, I don't think we're an exclusive service. In fact, I think we're a very, very inclusive service. And to include all of India into our audience, we have to try different things. So there is, you know, where there is a Sacred Games, there is a Black Warrant, there is, you know, IC-814, the Kandahar hijacking. Where there's Kapil Sharma, there's a Mamla Legal Hai, and there's so many more comedies like that. There's Romance with Royals and Mature Romance with Aap Jaisa Koi. It's really about, you know, being able to bring the best to our audience, make the experience every time they hit Netflix uh, make them come on and find their favorite thing, enjoy an experience on the phone individually or together with family. And for that, I think if we didn't try different things, it would be our loss entirely. As far as your question on budgets is concerned, I think, ranging from, I don't know, Mamla Legal Hair to IC814 to Hira Mandi to Kapil Sharma, I don't think we hold back when we find a story that's worth telling. I think it's really about what does the story need. If Royals needs, that we go and shoot at the City Palace in Jaipur, we actually, our partners made that happen. If for Delhi Crime this season, we're actually going beyond Delhi, far and wide. I'm not giving spoilers, but it's a really interesting and a very, very compelling case that needed us to go across the country. So I don't think you can ever think budget first, though budgets and economics are very important. But I think it's really about, what is the story, what is its complexity, what are its requirements, and how can we enable our partners, our writers, our storytellers, our creators to actually push themselves with every story that they tell. They actually top the expectation of the audience. That's our single-minded focus.
Bhumi, again, it would be fair to say that now OTT platforms are no more a threat to theatrical. In fact, they're all a part of the entertainment ecosystem now. And most actors, in fact, that line is quite blurred now. Mainstream, character, etc., that is gone. It's really about shuffling between the two mediums, basis how riveting the story is. Absolutely. Is it the same for you?
100%. If you just look at my last 5 films, for example, I've had films that I've released in the theatre, I've had a show that's come out, I had a beautiful film called Bhakshak. I cannot leave this platform without speaking of Bhakshak, which was again on Netflix. It was a film that I couldn't have imagined a film like Bhakshak reach as far as it did had it not been on Netflix. I remember once the film released and it did phenomenally well, I had messages from Latin America. I had messages from countries that I couldn't ever imagine that my films would reach, because theatrically that doesn't happen. Yeah. So for me, I'm greedy. I want a larger audience. Yeah. I want more people to watch the content that I do. So for me, this is something that I'm going to be championing through and through. There's no way that I'm leaving the space that I've beautifully created in this world, because that would really be a disservice to my career trajectory and everything that I've done. I have had such a wonderful experience every time I've had a film that has come out on the service, and my audience just keeps getting larger. That's what you want. Look, I feel like with theatre will give you spectacle. It'll give you just this extraordinary experience. But as an actor, stories that come out on OTT platforms, it gives you depth, it gives you intimacy, it gives you an opportunity to really have a very personal relationship with your audience, because there's a lot of feedback that you get. See, theatrically, a good film might not make numbers. Right? Does that mean it's not a good film? No, it's a good film, but unfortunately, for whatever reasons, people did not show up at the theatres. But on any OTT service, a good film will always find an audience. A good show will always find an audience. So there's no way I am leaving this space that I have created.
Very true, very true. Very well put. Shefali, again, one of the biggest talking points in the industry has been about pay parity between male actors and female actors. We are sitting at a women's summit. You think OTT somewhere is bridging that gap? Yes, no? Yes, no?
I'll tell you, honestly, I don't even know if it's pay parity between gender. I think it's between a star and an actor. So you could do a film, you could play the lead, but if there is a star opposite you, you will never ever get, I will never ever get paid that kind of money. But on OTT, that does kind of change. So I don't really think it's about a man or a woman per se.
In films it is.
It is. Really? Yeah. But really?
So a Salman, Shah Rukh.
All films.
versus...
I mean, I've had my fair share of experiences where, you know, it's not, I mean, see, obviously when there is somebody who's a lot more experienced than you working with you, this conversation is redundant, right? Like, it's just, obviously.
Absolutely.
But then if you're working with somebody who has achieved, whose credibility is like yours, who's done similar work like you, yet there is a parity in the pay, which is
true.
Yeah, and my experience with my first outing has been different. You know, we were paid for the value that we add. Let's just put it that way, and it kind of felt good to be. Can I say it, Tanya?
I'll add a very different nuance to this. And, you know, their experience is very, very different and very, very like one-on-one and personal. But I feel like what OTT can offer you is honestly the seasonality, the franchisability of one idea, which films actually, it's a one-time experience. And it's a spectacle, or maybe it's, you know, more intimate, but with a show well delivered can actually go on for seasons. And it can go on for years, and I think in that sense, just the incrementality of how popular you become and how much you gain from it in terms of both love as well as, you know, the fee. Both of those are, you know, ever evolving, and that's another sort of aspect that I would urge actors to think about, because it's not just about that OTT diminishes your scale or your value for films. It's in fact actually a much longer running sort of engagement, a much longer running business from the point of view of actors who can actually go on for 8, 10 seasons. So that's
almost like an investment you're making as an actor. You know, because if your show does well, then there will be, like, you know, we did Delhi Crime 1, and honestly, I don't know about the others in my team, or I don't know about Netflix. I had no clue this was what was going to come out of it. Did not expect the show to become so, I mean, the show and the character to become larger than life. But it just kind of shot through the roof, and I didn't even know if anybody was going to watch it. We didn't know where it was going to release when we created the show. And to think of, I don't even know if the producers or the director ever thought of, okay, season 2 mein kya karenge? It was never there. It was just like, okay, we've made this show, we are screening at the Sundance, and before I know it, Netflix has picked it up, and it's come out, and it's just, so it was an investment, unknowingly. You know, when I was doing season 2, and of course we had the pressure of matching up to 1, I remember someone telling me this, which made so much sense. The person said, for season 1, people came in to watch for the case. Season 2, they're going to come in to watch for you guys, because everyone's personally invested now in the characters you've created. And that is a kind of investment that we as actors make and very proudly carry back. And I think that's what we gain, that, you know, people invest in us. They go back to knowing, okay, what is Sophia doing, or what is Vartika going to do, or, you know.
Bhumi, you know, we know how the trolls are, how the naysayers are, what they do in the age of internet and digital platforms. There is talk about how one should look, Botox, lip fillers, etc., etc. You very recently made a statement saying that it is all about personal choice, and you've reminded every girl that. Two things I want to understand. A, when you are in your own space, how do you react to the so-called negative comments? B, what is your message to every girl watching you today to say that it is your personal choice to how you want to look and what you want to do for yourself?
See, to begin with, I chose a life in the public eye, so there will be opinion of every kind, good, bad, ugly. I have received insane amounts of love over the last 10 years, and at the same time, I've been trolled enough. So if you ask any actor today, we all are very thick-skinned, you know, to begin with. But by the end of it, we're also human. So how do you protect the human side of yourself? I think the idea is by deciding that you're not going to get bullied. It is my choice. I've always made choices for myself. I've led a very unconventional path, right from my first film. You know, until then, even when I remember right after Dam Laga Ke Haisha, I had a film called Toiletic Prem Katha that I released, and people were like, "Kaisi dikhti hai, isko kisne heroine bana diya?" The film went and made 150 crores. You know, even today after Royals, people have an opinion about how I should look because people love boxing women. So to any young girl, don't let anybody box you, because that's the easiest thing to do. Even after Royals, you know, where people had an opinion, it is one of my most watched pieces of content. So honestly, I am here celebrating every aspect of it. You know, I was bullied in school, and I give this story out every time I get a platform, because if there's any girl that can connect with me, I really hope my story gives you some kind of comfort. I was bullied in school for the way I looked. Then I went and I did a beautiful film called Dam Laga Ke Haisha that broke every kind of beauty standard. And thank you. And every time I'm pulled back, it gives me insane amounts of fire, because I'm like, hey, I'm going to prove you wrong. And the next decade is going to be about exactly that. I'm going to keep questioning the status quo. I'm not going to let anybody box me. So to everyone in this room also, लोगों का काम है कहना, वो तो कहते रहेंगे. आपके जो ड्रीम्स हैं, आपका जो एम्बिशन है, आप जो खुद से चाहते हो, वो सिर्फ आप जानते हो, और ये आपकी जर्नी, ये मेरी मेहनत है. Nobody is putting bread on my table but I. So this is all that keeps me going.
Where we are talking about Begums of Binge, how streaming is empowering women. And the wonderful part about OTT is that it is a platform where we tell bolder stories, progressive storylines. The woman in the story is flawed, makes mistakes, is bold, doesn't think twice before giving it back. How do you think women are truly getting empowered, especially in the smaller pockets of India, while consuming OTT content in comparison to what satellite TV served? And again, if any one of you want to comment, because I've been hearing a lot of speakers since this morning, and you know, somewhere, if it is a speaker who's also a woman, who's also a mother in her personal life, who's also a wife in her personal life, you know, it's amazing to hear some of them who are so empowered, hold that position, have power, everything, but you know, that vulnerable side comes out. So how do you balance the two?
But you know, as Shefali ma'am said, vulnerability is a superpower. So it should keep coming out. The fact that I am capable of being on a stage and maybe even tearing up is not something that makes me weak. It actually makes me very, very strong, because I am not ashamed of owning up to what I'm feeling at that moment. Sorry, I've just taken the question because I just feel like women are always, we are so whitewashed, right? कि हम में कोई गलतियाँ नहीं हो सकती. Why can't we be messy? Why can't we be greedy? Why can't I be jealous of somebody else? These are not, or why can't I be ambitious? Why can't I have drive? These are not bad things. These are great
And in other
things.
words, why can't we just be human?
Absolutely.
You know, exactly what you're saying. That's just traits of being human.
I actually feel that every cliche that has been, you know, sort of held against us, that, oh, women multitask, I feel like that's a superpower. I feel like that allows my characters in our shows to have the ability to think at multiple levels. And that's what we can depict. So I feel like female characters actually therefore lend beautifully to a long format like series, because you have a personal life, you have a career, you have an emotional side, you have certain desires, and you're not like unidimensional. You can't be just presented in one line saying, you know, a strong character. It's not that. I feel like when you say that women are emotional, you actually get to feel the character. And actually what the long format does is takes you closer into the lives of your characters, because whether or not many times you remember the name of the show, you remember the character. You always come back to say, Madam Sir ko dekhna hai, Sophia ko dekhna hai, you know, Jovi, whoever else that you want to watch, you will come back for them. And I think actually, whether it's vulnerability or whether it's the ability to just, you know, be in different, live life through different people's experiences. You can be yourself, then you will be a daughter, and just in the next moment you will be a mother. And that requires a lot of emotional levity, I think. You know, for you to take that leap from being what is a role of a daughter and the role of a guide or a mentor. And I think that just beautifully lends to the complexity and dimensions of a human being. And if we don't bring those to life in content, really commemorate them, then what's the point? And that's I think the difference between just the genders, how they're depicted, and the complexity and the beauty of women.
I also just want to add, this is not specifically to the question that you asked, but this was to one of your earlier questions where you spoke about being stereotyped. I think you'd address that question to Shefali ma'am, because I'd only done certain kind of movies. I was also boxed, right? That no, if there is a small town film with like messaging, etc., I'm the face of it, and I love it. I thrive in that space. I love it. But I feel like had it not been for a Netflix with a show like Royals, it's incredible that they even thought of me to do a part like this. That's what really breaking stereotypes is all about, right? Giving people opportunities, giving them a field to explore and play with what they have. Otherwise, I'm still going to do that other kind of work, and I think that's just not for me. That's for every actor, male, female, or whatever gender that you relate to.
Right. So I'm really short on time. It has been wonderful talking to you all. Quickly closing remarks, if I could do that, 30 seconds each. For Shefali and Bhumi, as actors, what is the one character that you're itching to do? And Tanya, why does it take so long for any show on Netflix to come out with a season 2? So quickly, 30
we both looking at her. Like, yeah, yes.
Like I said, I walked into this, but I'm very happy to say the Delhi Crime's coming soon. So
We've been hearing that since January.
Yes, and the year's not up. No, but I think all good things take time, and I know that's a very standard answer, but it's true. As much as we'd love for it to just come out the next month, and I'd love it more than anybody else, I promise you, it takes time to write these complex characters that we talked about. It takes time to actually raise the bar on yourself, and we really, really push and support all our partners to do that. So that when you tune in to the next season, you're not disappointed. So good things take time, and bear with us.
Wonderful. And the one character that you're looking to do, something, Tanya's here?
I'm very greedy. I want to do everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
everything.
I want to
can't
do
pick.
everything.
I can't pick.
Yeah, I don't want to pick only. Whatever, any great characters, please bring it on.
But they're such good actors. Why should
Yeah,
they
that's
look
true.
at Shefali in Jalsa, and then look at her in Darlings. 2 films, and then there's Madam Sir, and Bhumi in Bhakshak, Bhumi in Royals, Bhumi in the next thing, which is unfortunately not on our platform, but yeah.
But the one after that is with you.
I want to thank you all so much for this wonderful conversation. I hope all of you have enjoyed it as much as we did.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Engaging in it.